Nebraska football talk, of course, on a Tuesday night here at the Voice of College Football. Pull up a chair, relax, hit the like button first, though. Better do that. Then you can get settled and enjoy Nebraska football talk with Greg Peterson, myself, and leave those comments and questions there in the live chat as well. Greg, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Mark. How about you, man?
I'm good. Hopefully we didn't throw too many people for a curveball tonight. That's my fault. But,
Nebraska fans, they can take it.
They can take it. I try to get all the notifications out there to let everyone know. So
they're used to some disappointment here and there lately.
This isn't disappointment. This is just delayed gratification. How about that?
Yep. Hey, at least we're happy to be here.
Yeah, we are here.
Keep our product going.
Yeah, 77 straight.
77. Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Going up by one every Tuesday. All right, folks. Ashley Williams is a Husker. And he just committed on the 10th, 2 days ago, following a 3-commitment week the week before. So good news on the recruiting front there.
Yeah, Nebraska keeps adding prospects into their recruiting class right now, building it the right way, and kind of not really much of a shock. You got another guy out of the state of Louisiana. When you have guys like Mickey Joseph and Bill Bush on your staff that know a lot about recruiting the state of Louisiana, but On3 ranks Ashley as a 4-star. He's an edge rusher. Something that you can always have more of. But he looks really good on film. 6'4", 215 pounds right now, but an impressive frame that will definitely fill out as next couple of years go on. So from Zachary, Louisiana, and he chose Nebraska over Minnesota, Auburn, Southern Miss, Texas, guys, teams like that. So, a really good looking prospect coming in to add to this class. And I think it's got to make Mike Dawson really, really happy, while he retools his defensive line.
On3 has Ashley Williams ranked at the number 41 position at the edge rusher, top 20 player in the state of Louisiana at 19, top 400 player overall as a 4-star at number 381.
And if you're ranked number 19 in the state of Louisiana, I mean, you're ranking, if you're in the state of Nebraska right now, you're probably at least 2 or 3 in the state.
Yeah, because Nebraska's had typically about 2 to 3 4-stars.
It varies. It varies year by year, but maybe 10 to 12 D1 signees every year. So, and that's Power 5 type schools. So, yeah.
All right, Sam's here. Good to see you. Everybody else. GBR Dewey. Love it. Yeah. Tim's here, USC fan. Catches everything in sight.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
The Big Ten family, that is. No, I see Moonbot chiming in, too.
You bet. And yes, Samuel, it is time to like and share.
Moonbot was MIA last week.
He was. We missed you, Moonbot.
Yeah. Wonder what was going on there.
We didn't get our weekly update on the Yankee.
A little too much 4th of July fun, maybe? I don't know.
Moonbot, I cannot answer that question. I appreciate you asking whether you can use the Amazon link with Prime. I don't know. You can give it a shot. I don't know what to tell you there, but I appreciate you trying to help us out here. Stephen is asking, did anyone see the CBS article that Nebraska is losing a key running back? I did not see that myself. I can certainly...
Yeah, Marquis Stepp entered the transfer portal. Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Well,
that's that.
That's a done deal. Yeah. Now he's going to go seek out his third school now in his career. So, I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall. I think when he transferred here to Nebraska from USC, I thought in his mind, he probably thought that it was pretty easy to get the starting job here, but it didn't turn out that way. And he's been very underwhelming, just to, be blunt, at his time here in Lincoln. So, I mean, you see an influx of young talent that's in the running back room now, and guys like AJ Allen and stuff got a little bit more to say, I think, in the competition to for playing time than a guy over Marquis Stepp. So, not a big loss, and I wish him the best. We all do, and good luck on finding another school to finish out your college career.
Yeah, there were high hopes about Marquis Stepp when he transferred from USC, where he averaged 6.4 yards per carry in 2019 with 3 touchdowns, but just $177 last season for the Huskers at 3.9 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns.
Kind of plagued by injury as well. A guy that actually came in here from USC hiding an injury that nobody knew about, which sidelined him at the start of his career. But, he was a highly ranked kid coming out of Indianapolis, 4-star ranked guy, highly regarded. And, he had a decent year at USC, but it's just been hampered by injuries, quite frankly.
Asabar is asking, Mark, what game are you looking forward to the most? Well, since this is a Nebraska show, we're going to stay with Nebraska.
Nebraska, USC.
Well, yeah, Nebraska, USC 2024. That is the game I'm looking forward to the most. All right, 2022, game I'm looking forward to the most. Well, it could end up being the Wisconsin game or the Iowa game, or it depends on where those teams are positioned late in the season. If Nebraska and Iowa are playing for the Big Ten Western Division Championship the last weekend of the season, then that's going to turn out to be the one. But the way things stand right now, I'm going to pick off the first real challenge. Not that Northwestern doesn't have to be dealt with, but considering how well this team played in Norman last year, and with a quarterback who has posted really good numbers, 5 touchdown passes against that same Oklahoma team last year with Texas, I got to say, to see if things go well, and Nebraska should be 3-0 entering that game. Greg can speak to this better than I can. Memorial Stadium is going to be rocking for Oklahoma coming to town at 3-0.
Yeah, exactly. What else could you ask for? Old school rivalry, top 10 rivalry of all time, renewed in Lincoln, and definitely you would point to that. But in my mind, I got to see the product first, and so to be my first game in person overseas, I got to point at the Northwestern game. Which I'm most excited for, because if all goes well there, then, okay, we can start thinking about Oklahoma after that. Not that you want to skip over any other opponents, but I mean, Oklahoma, Nebraska is always a special game. And, don't get me wrong, there's going to be a lot of Oklahoma Sooner fans here in Lincoln. There's a lot of crossover fans in the 2 states as well. So, it's going to be a very raucous environment, especially if Nebraska is undefeated. And obviously, we pretty much figure Oklahoma will be undefeated too. And I think it's a different matchup than years past, with all the question marks going on with the Oklahoma program right now, with all the new additions. And the same can be said about Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska's completely overhauled their coaching staff as well. And so it's going to come down to who wants it most on the field. And you know what? It's going to be a lot of fun to see.
It is web security. You want me to name my top 3 games of every week of the season? Well, keep in mind, this is a Nebraska show. So ask me that question over on the main channel. I will be happy to accommodate and look the entire schedule and name you my top 3 games every week, the entire season.
He'll have Nebraska on one of those weeks.
Oh, it'll be there. Yeah, that will be there. But, man, I would love to know right now if those games against Purdue, Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin are going to be meaningful. They're going to be important. That would be great. That would be great. BD has a question for you here, Greg. Can you speak to the culture of the team compared to the past 20 years?
Wow, that's spanning a few coaching staffs. I think the culture right now is at a high that you haven't seen here in, I don't know, the last 6 or 7 years, maybe. But every time you have a coaching change, things change. And right now, Nebraska was a program that went from Tom Osborne to Frank Solich, and then Bill Callahan, which kind of ended up as a little bit of a dud. But then Bo Pelini takes over, and he still wins 9 games every year. And the knock on Bo and his regime was you can't win the big game. Win a conference championship. And then so you change again because 9 wins a year is not good enough, and it's been downhill ever since then with a couple of coaching changes. That I really think the culture was demoralized at the end of the Bo Pelini regime, just the way things ended up and the way Bo left, and it changed things a lot. And then Mike Riley comes in and tries to bring a completely different culture into a very historical program that does things a certain way. And I think Coach Riley, he embraced that, but he didn't really understand that. Because Coach Riley is one of the most special persons on this planet, one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. But I think that his style is a little bit different than what Nebraska was looking for, and unfortunately, that didn't work out well. And then, during that kind of a tenure, things kind of struggled a little bit culture-wise. And then you bring in Scott Frost that tries to reinstall all that culture, and to this point, it just hasn't worked yet. But obviously, if you see what they're doing on the recruiting trail right now and what they're doing in the transfer portal, is that the one thing that Coach Frost and this staff can do is motivate young men and still get them to buy into what Nebraska's vision is. And I think that a lot of kids, you'd be stupid not to listen to some of these guys that, if you look at their track record throughout their careers, have been very successful everywhere they've been. And they're genuine, good dudes, and create such a family atmosphere. And, you're hard pressed to find another university with the support system that you get here in Lincoln, Nebraska, with the fan base that is so passionate to have a winner, and all the resources that are dumped into this, and a brand new state-of-the-art facility going up right next door. That it's just hard it's hard to say no to Nebraska when when you can buy in to what these guys are telling you, and that they truly want the best for each college athlete and help them as much as they can to get to the next level, and not just as professionals, but as men, as human beings. So yeah, I mean, I think the culture right now is a all-time high that I've seen, since Pelini was coaching Nebraska.
Talking Nebraska football with all of you. Please hit the like button, share the videos out on social media. So let people know that we're here every Tuesday, 6 Central, typically 6 Central. That's why you got to subscribe and make sure the notifications are turned on, because we let you know and blame me that there was going to be a time change this particular week. So here we are. All right. You ready to do?
I haven't even asked why. So that's all good with me.
Because I wanted to see my son tonight. How was that?
Oh, see, it's all about family. There you go.
Yep. All right. You ready for this, Greg? I'm going to run through Phil Steele's unit by unit rankings, and you tell me what you think of Nebraska's rankings. So I'm going to read off the ranking in the Big Ten and the ranking nationally. Okay, quarterback room. According to Phil Steele, Nebraska has the 6th best quarterback room in the Big Ten. Ohio State's 1, Purdue 2, Maryland 3, Michigan 4, Michigan State 5, and Nebraska 6. And nationally, listen to this, Nebraska 52.
Actually, I'm surprised it's that high.
Really, with Casey Thompson?
It's all an unknown, Mark. I think the
He's
rank
not an unknown.
Well,
he led the Big 12 in touchdown passes
at a new school, and he's had injury problems. Same as Adrian Martinez, we've dealt with being healthy enough to play. So it's all an unknown, but I mean, obviously you have talented guys, and you don't know who the starter is going to be at this point. So, obviously, I think Phil Steele's being very conservative there, and he's kind of covering things. But I think obviously that they have the potential to be much higher ranked there than that. We'll see. I mean, we're really talking about something that we haven't seen the real product on the field yet. So, yeah, I'm not gonna complain about that.
Okay, I'm going to hit a few questions in the chat, and we'll get you lined up with running backs next. But the Daniel Henry's asking about the top 5 Nebraska game changers that are going to be big time this year.
I think, first off, you got to start with Trey Palmer. I think he's probably one of the most electric guys you've seen in the program in a long, long, long time. And boy, after that, if healthy, I think a game changer is a Travis Vokolek at tight end as well. If he can really, have a presence. And then on the defense side of the ball, Stephen Wynn, I mean, the Alabama transfer, I think, has got a lot of talent and a lot of accolades to make a lot of noise there. And, there's a lot of running backs that really intrigue me. And it's hard to say when everything is all said and done. A.J. Allen might be one of the most impressive guys that we see out there. But, again, we got to wait till fall camp and be able to get eyeballs on this stuff, because, quite frankly, we really haven't seen anything since last season wrapped up. For a 5th guy, I think you got to go Garrett Nelson as a complete spiritual leader and a flat-out crazy nuts football player that just loves to hit people and has a motor that's going at 200 miles an hour nonstop. So, yeah, that would probably round out my list right now before we see anything.
Yep. Good list. Let's go to another question here coming in from Ethan. Appreciate you being here. Remember that you can contribute on Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Search Mark Rogers TV, or right here on the Super Chat as well. Ethan, what are your thoughts on the Big Ten going after the Texas market TCU and Texas Tech. I think they are in a fairly large market. Not really. TCU is, not Texas Tech. And the recruiting would be good to have for Nebraska. Well, if I can throw in my 2 cents first, yes, TCU is in the Fort Worth complex, Dallas Fort Worth. So yes, large TV market, but
Beautiful.
I got to somewhat put that on hold when there's an NFL team involved. So it's one thing to be Utah in the Salt Lake City market or Ohio State in the Columbus, Ohio market with no NFL team. It's different being Washington in the Seattle market or, Maryland in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore markets. It's completely different. So they don't command that kind of attention, especially the Dallas Cowboys. And number 2, Texas Tech's in the middle of nowhere. So then my other thought is that the Big Ten's not doing Nebraska any favors. And I don't mean that to mean that the Big Ten doesn't want Nebraska to succeed, but they're not making conference-wide decisions to help Nebraska in recruiting. That's not what it's going to come to. It's going to come down to this. Can those schools' football programs make them money? My answer would be no.
And do they meet the academic
yes.
standards of the Big Ten? Side note though, did you see that Texas Tech did just announce a brand new $200 million football facility that they're going to build?
Very good.
The one Nebraska is building had a price tag of 160 pre-COVID. So it would be kind of interesting to see what that price tag would be today. But you know what? There's pretty much zero chance that either one of those institutions would join would be asked to join the Big Ten. Right now you see in what they've added, and everything depends on the SEC. Okay, the SEC has 16 teams right now with the additions of Oklahoma and Texas. Now the Big Ten has 16 teams with the addition of USC and UCLA. So the Big Ten's not going to add anybody else until the SEC makes another move. Vice versa. Now the wild card in this, all that everybody knows, is Notre Dame.
Yeah,
and what nobody really knows. I mean, the latest I've heard with Notre Dame is that they're not worried about making any kind of a move until the mid 2030s, like 2034, maybe at the earliest. So, who knows? And then you got to think about right now that, okay, there are negotiations going on right now for the second part of the Big Ten television package, which we all know is worth tons and tons of money. Now, Fox is entrenched in half of that, or maybe a little more than half of that. And ESPN was the other entity that was involved. But the contract's up for grabs right now, and the price tag is going skyrocketing up and up once you added UCLA and USC, because now the Big Ten controls the top 3 television markets in the country. And the state of Texas really doesn't even equate into that, especially when you talk about those 2 teams. So right now, with the addition of those 2 schools to the Big Ten, the price tag is going crazy. And now you see other entities trying to throw their hat into it. Obviously ESPN's one of them bidding on it. But now you've got even like Apple TV has even thrown their hat into it. And then obviously CBS is one that's there, and the new one is NBC. All of a sudden NBC is extremely interested, which maybe might tell you something about the whole Notre Dame angle right there too, if you want to go into conspiracy theory type talk. So, this is a whole moving machine right now that we're not going to know really where it all stops at. But, to make a long story short on to answer the question is that I could never see those 2 schools from Texas being in the Big Ten. It just doesn't work out on paper.
2034 before Notre Dame makes a decision.
Yeah, I
Wow.
heard. Yeah, I mean,
I heard something like that too.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't know if that's Notre Dame just taking their stance that they've always had, but sooner or later, you know what? You're gonna get left out. I don't care how long that you can survive on your NBC deal and stuff like that. And all your traditional games that Notre Dame fans have drooled over year in and year out don't happen anymore. So I think I got to think the Notre Dame fan base is about ready for a change, and the ACC is just not going to cut it.
Well, I agree with you that Notre Dame should make a decision sooner rather than later to have a better control over their situation as opposed to what might be dictated to them 10 years from now. That's as long as the powers that be, the conferences, would freeze them out. As long as the conferences supply Notre Dame with games and they're selected with a good record into the playoff, then they're fine.
But their avenue to the playoff is severely hurt by not being in a conference now with the way things are ending up. And there was a very interesting conversation I heard earlier today that is the Big Ten putting Notre Dame on notice and giving them a deadline to say, hey, we want in? I don't think so, personally. I think Notre Dame knows the Big Ten wants them. I mean, obviously, the SEC wouldn't say no to Notre Dame either. But, I mean, I don't think the Big Ten would give an ultimatum on, say, hey, you got to make a decision right now. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't think the Big Ten is going to add another school in until the SEC adds another school or two into the SEC as well. Right now, the SEC kind of rules the whole world in college football in that way. And obviously, the Big Ten is right there with them. But either one. I mean, the SEC is the one that's bold enough to say, hey, we're going to expand another. We're going to add 2 more and we're going to go to 18. And then 2 more, we're going to go to 20. The Big Ten is just going to follow suit. And, it's the SEC's move to add more at this point.
Well, I've made this statement, and I'm not stating this like it's gospel truth. This is just my perspective, and this is my guess. My estimated guess is that the Big Ten and the SEC are basically looking at 2 things. Of course, money, but below that, the breakdown of the money is the evaluation of, okay, the SEC stands currently with 16, the Big Ten with 16. Let's say Notre Dame does say, we want to stay independent, we're good, and they take themselves completely out of the market. If the SEC looks at the field, obviously the Big Ten made the last move. If the SEC stands pat, doesn't do anything, I don't expect the Big Ten to do anything. I think there's a counter punch momentum to this.
Exactly.
That, okay, they just added like if the SEC would go out and grab Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and North Carolina and go to 20, then the Big Ten would probably want to do something about that.
Absolutely, they would. And you'd probably see, the scenario like Notre Dame, Oregon, Stanford, Washington, maybe
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's going. So Notre Dame's not going to have any choice sooner or later, because who are they going to play? Because all these teams are in the same conference, and you're not going to have as many non-conference games anymore.
Why? Sure you are.
Well, I think they're going to make it 10 conference games. Well, maybe not 10, but 9 maybe.
Well, they already play 9 in the Big Ten,
that's
in the
true.
Pac-12, in the Big 12. I think it all depends. I can't answer your question whether Notre Dame's in trouble or not. I think they could be in trouble if the leagues get together and say, Notre Dame is the only school playing big-time football that goes by its own rules. If they refuse to join a conference, we're going to freeze them out. Don't schedule them. Leave them out. They need to play by the same rules. But if the conferences and the individual schools continue to let Notre Dame do whatever they want, then they're going to continue to schedule games because The conferences and the individual schools within the conferences make money when they schedule Notre Dame.
Exactly. That's the whole point, is that, hey, I mean, you're going to sign a home and home with Notre Dame. I mean, you're going to make a ton of money when they come to your place. So, yeah. But my point is that those opportunities get farther and fewer if they don't join one of these two mega conferences.
Maybe.
Notre Dame's just got to get over being Notre Dame, in my opinion.
I completely agree. I don't blame Notre Dame for taking that stand. I blame everybody else for letting them.
They're the only school that has their own television deal. So that kind of dictates that, hey, you know what? We're good. Let us play the field. But I think in the end, though, the money has got to be more than what their NBC contract is paying. Especially if NBC gets the rights to the other part of the Big Ten television deal right now. Which, I mean, it's hard for me to even think that ESPN would let that happen. Because I mean, ESPN's not stupid, and they know they know what's going to make them money as well. So it's just such a high price tag these days on everything. It's just mind-boggling.
So just to finish my point, I think that it's going to come down to basically the two leagues counter punching, and then the number two thing is that if the Big Ten or the SEC gets to a point where they look at the rest of the field and there's nobody else out there of value that's going to add value, then they're going to say, we've got our 20, we're good, or we got our 22, or whatever the number ends up being, and there's nobody else that adds value to our league.
Yeah, that's you know what? What does that tell you? Is like, you know what? You better jump on the opportunity when you have it, because when all those spots fill up, what are you going to do now?
Yes. And that's another big question, because let's say see if you agree with me here. The Big 12's kind of the Big 12 has actually kind of protected itself in a weird way, because they got a 14-team conference. They got a 14-team. No, they'll have a 12-team conference when they add the 4 from the American Conference. They'll have 12 teams. Let's say they go out and they get like a Utah, Colorado, Arizona State. They get up to 16 or 18.
They're gonna have to. Yeah.
They get up to 16, let's say. None of those programs most likely are good enough or have the kind of value that the SEC or the Big Ten would want them.
Not even close.
So they're not going to get picked off, but they have a strong enough league with strong enough programs to at least have a viable, competitive league that's going to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a Florida State. They don't have a Miami. They don't have a Clemson to get picked off.
Nope. No, I mean, it's kind of a sad situation when you think about that, and even think about the SEC or the ACC. You still might have a couple of bell cows in there, like a Clemson at the moment. Miami might be on their way back. I mean, things are looking good there. Florida State looks like they're on the uprise as well. So you could actually have some pretty powerful schools in there. The SEC looks at this as they're looking at recruiting grounds. That's why you're hearing, North Carolina and Virginia are two targets for the SEC, because they want those states. They want to recruit those states, increase their footprint in the recruiting world. So that's a factor that you always have to look at. They've already got Florida in the SEC, so they've got their foot in Florida, no problem. And obviously, Florida's in the Southwest or in the Southeast, yeah, I mean, so clout-wise, Miami, Florida State doesn't really ring true on the recruiting side, but that's why they're targeting schools like North Carolina. I mean, because there's a lot of talent that comes out of North Carolina and a ton of talent that comes out of the state of Virginia. But right now, as things stand, the University of Virginia is second fiddle to Virginia Tech in recruiting the area. but a change to the SEC would probably make a big difference in recruiting at Virginia. So, yeah, there's a lot of different factors that go into these moves on getting schools that people don't really think about with the recruiting angle. And it's all about a footprint there where you can get in there and recruit states where usually you're not very good at recruiting and don't have a lot of connections there, high school coach wise and stuff to be able to be in on some of those recruits that you would like to be able to recruit, but don't have a chance to right now.
There you go. Joey and other people are saying basically tell Notre Dame no conference, no playoffs. And I get that. That all sounds good. And I agree with that stance. That's the stance I want to take. But if the same TV networks, right now it's NBC and it's ESPN, ABC, they do the other half of the Notre Dame game. So everybody focus. I don't think Fox has a contract with Notre Dame.
Oh no, Fox doesn't. No.
So anyway,
they would if they joined the Big 12 or Big 10.
Everybody focuses on Notre Dame's NBC contract, of course, but that's all their home games. All their road games are played on ABC and ESPN, ESPN networks.
Whoever wants to pick them up.
ESPN has control over the playoffs. Yeah. Why would they risk or sever a relationship with one of their partners, Notre Dame, by forming a playoff that excludes Notre Dame?
Yeah, you can't do that.
The conferences have to take the stand against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joey, thank you so much. This is my favorite comment of the night because Joey used the Amazon link to help us build the channel. So he got himself some hint water, and he got himself a pond pump the other day and contributed to the show. Well, thank you for that. A pond pump. He's pumping water out of the pond, I guess.
Oh, nice. I used to have a pond.
Okay, yeah.
My old house, I did. I stocked it with bluegill. They were meaner than hell.
So I appreciate that, Joey. Thank you so much for doing that. And to Joey's suggestion there, everybody grab the link in the description section that says Amazon right next to it. You put it somewhere or you'll remember it. And when you shop on Amazon, you might as well use the link that we provide there. Zizach, love the show. Zizach had no comments or questions, just that he loves the show.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Love it. Yep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. The one good thing about doing it at a different time, maybe there's a few different people that find us and can join us for a different time here.
Absolutely.
All right.
Everybody knows they can always watch it anytime.
Yes.
At their leisure. So, yep.
And as usual, I would expect that most people will be online at the end of the show. So you got to watch the rest of the show.
Oh, I missed it. Moonbot forgot to tell everybody it was going to start later tonight. So, yeah. Everybody blame Moonbot.
Poor Moonbot.
Just kidding, brother.
Nebraska running backs, according to Phil Steele's publication here, are 9th best in the Big Ten and number 44 in the country.
Wow, interesting that they rank the running back room higher than the quarterback room.
Lower. Well, higher in the country and lower in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Very strange. Wow. I think the running back room is going to be a strength this year, especially with kind of the change in the attitude of, I'm going to turn my email off. Usually do. But no, with what's going on with the offensive line, with Donovan Rail, kind of a whole change in kind of culture and attitude of, running straight forward and emphasizing the running game a lot more than we've seen, especially under Coach Frost. I mean, completely. So, I think, if you don't know, the Big Ten is a line of scrimmage league. if you can't control the line of scrimmage, you're not going to do very well. So I think that's the emphasis right now. And I think that running back room is going to pay off because of the changes in the offensive. I'm not just talking about the talent on the offensive line. I'm talking more about the attitude and just the kind of change of how you do things. I mean, you're not going to dance around anymore on the offensive line, waiting for things to develop and stuff. No, you're going to go bury the other guy into the ground across from you on the line. So that's what I think is going to help out the running backs. And right now, like, there's a lot of talent in that room, and like we talked about earlier, Marquise Stepp kind of saw that and said, "I don't have a chance to even crack, third or fourth string, so I'm going to go find somewhere else to get some playing time." So yeah, as soon as these guys, get into fall camp, past the first couple days, and actually put the pads on and start smacking each other around, we're going to have a lot better idea. Because like I mentioned, I mean, we got a week from this Monday, we got to go to Indianapolis for Big Ten Media Days. Nebraska goes on day one on Tuesday. And when they're done, they're getting on the plane and they're flying straight back to Lincoln for Fan Day Tuesday night. Our crew will still be there. We'll fly home on Wednesday. And then fall camp starts up right away on Thursday. So, I mean, it's go time, and we're going to start getting answers to all these questions very, very shortly. And quite frankly, I can't wait for it all to start.
USC and UCLA make 16 teams in 2024, and our buddy Cole is asking whether the Big Ten could keep divisions. So there's been a lot of talk about pods, divisions, and before all these ads, of course, doing what the ACC and the Pac-12 are doing, and that's get rid of all the divisions, just have one big list of 16 teams. Any of those things are possible. The one comment I'll make is that they could, let's say, slide, let's say Purdue. Purdue's in the West. Their rival, Indiana's in the East. Just slide them over to the East and then pop in USC and UCLA in the West. It's possible.
I mean, obviously it's going to be regionalized on the way they make it, but I think, quite frankly, you're just going to see the same model as the NFL uses. You're going to have 2 conferences with 4 divisions. I think that's the easiest way to do it.
You're talking about ultimately, like nationally. I'm just talking about like the Big Ten.
I'm talking about
nothing else. If nothing else happens, if nothing else happens,
well, I know I'm taking that out of the equation because I don't think they're done.
Okay, I got you.
But I mean, because this is gonna, if you're trying to do this, it's gonna change every year. You add more schools to your conference. But I'm talking ultimately, I think you're going to see the Big Ten and the SEC with 20 teams each. And then you do 4 conferences or 4 divisions in that conference. So it's like a water, instead of the NFL having 4 divisions in each conference, you'd have 2 divisions in each conference. And I think it plays that way, and that's how you schedule things out. You have crossovers against the other side, and obviously it's going to be the West and the East. I think basically geographically, because I think that's probably the easiest way to do it, travel wise and everything. And you just have those crossover games that are against the other conference, the other side of the conference.
I produced a video with Oregon and Washington being added and went with 18 teams when that seemed to be the story that was going to come through. And I produced a video. You guys check it out. It's on the main channel. I added Oregon and Washington and built a whole division lineup, and with 4 divisions or 4 pods, whatever you want to call them divisions. And then build a whole playoff system, because at some point if you get too many teams in a conference, then you have to have like a playoff within the conference because you have a problem with the two top teams in the conference maybe not being the two top teams in the conference, like because they can't play each other enough.
Exactly.
If you follow me, like you could have let's
maybe
say
a Final Four in each conference.
You could have three teams. You could have three teams that are all 8-0 and they didn't play each other. And you're like, well, who's going to play in the conference championship game? So you have to develop some kind of like a semifinal to lead to the conference championship game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that makes total sense to me too. But now you're adding another game onto the schedule, and kind of going back to what we were talking about of playing non-conference teams. I mean, now you're running out of another week of possibly playing like a Northern Iowa or somebody.
This is the way I build it, Greg, is instead of having a 9-game conference season, have a 7-game conference season, and then after the 7 games, determine the division winners and so forth. You would have to see the whole setup that I had. And you have a flex schedule the last 2 weekends of the season. So when the 4 teams are playing the semifinals, the other 12 teams in the conference, or 14, whatever it turns out to be, are playing like seeded games against each other. And then you do the same the weekend of the championship game. So everybody ends up playing 9 conference games, but the last 2 weekends for everybody else are flex games.
Wild card, yeah. I mean, you don't know who's it's going to be. I like that idea. I really do. That sounds cool. That's genius.
What gave me the idea was that's what the Big Ten did for the COVID year.
Yeah, I forget about the COVID year. It didn't really make any sense.
They wanted to get as many games in as possible, and the SEC did the same thing. And so they had games the weekend of the conference championship game to get in the rest of the games.
Yeah. But it was so bizarre because the other teams couldn't even play. They couldn't even field a team and stuff. And yeah, I think they were just trying to get as many games in as possible.
Oh, man, Moonbot's been listening. You've been listening, Moonbot. Yes. If they adopt my strength of schedule from the year before, I won't go into that. I've explained that a bunch of times on other streams, and that's not for right here. But yes.
Moonbot's probably happy. He likes this time. It's only 6 or 7:20 at his time right now.
Where's Moonbot?
He's in Denver.
It's only 7:20. No, it's
oh no, it's 8:20. They're only an hour behind.
Okay.
Yeah, they're mountain time, so it's 8:20 there. Sorry. It's 9:20 here. I'm sorry. It's past my bedtime. Not.
Yeah, you're a night owl, just like I am.
I don't sleep.
Nebraska's wide receivers, according to Phil Steele, number 5 in the Big Ten. And number, give me a second, trying to find them, nationally, number 34.
Well, at least nationally, we keep coming up a little bit, right? You know what? Number 5 is. I wouldn't argue with that in the Big Ten. I mean, because look at some of these other programs that have wide receivers all over the place. I mean, obviously you start with Ohio State, and you just keep going from there. There's a lot of talented wide receivers in the Big Ten, and again, Nebraska is still kind of an unknown. I mean, when you're adding new guys and you graduated some other key guys, and you're still waiting for other guys to step up and play up to their talent level that we expected. I think that's a pretty good call right there. Now, 34th in the nation kind of surprises me that he would pick him that high if he's being that conservative in the Big Ten. But I don't know. Maybe he knows something I don't.
The offensive line is number 7 in the Big Ten. And nationally,
Oh God, I don't know if I want to hear that.
number,
70s, right?
well, unless I missed number 67.
Oh, well, a little better than I thought.
Number 7 in
Hey,
the Big Ten, which means that he doesn't think the Big Ten has many good offensive lines. Well, then this doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless we look through the whole thing.
When it's an unknown,
He is Michigan with the best offensive line in the country, Ohio State number 3, and Wisconsin number 4.
That's shocking to me. Where's Iowa?
Iowa 56.
What?
Well, they lost the best center in the country,
I
Tyler
think,
Linderbaum.
I think Phil needs to get out of Nashville every now and then and actually go to the Midwest once or twice to see what programs do around here with the offensive lines. Hey, don't get me wrong. I love those guys. I lived in Nashville for 10 years, so Athlon is right down the street from my old employer's office. A lot of former friends went over there when they left my former company.
James Scott wants to know if Nebraska is going to land Cameron Lenhart.
Great
Any
chance.
idea?
Yeah, I mean, a very great chance of that. Still, a little bit more work to do on that, but they've impressed him, and we'll kind of see when he comes down to wanting to make his decision. I think Nebraska is going to be right up in there. So, yeah.
Cameron Lenhart, by the way, for you non-recruiting folks, 6'3", 240 defensive lineman out of IMG Academy. 33rd rated edge rusher, 53rd rated player in the state of Florida. That's the entire composite on 3, 247 rivals put together. Number 258 in the nation. And the crystal ball, at least here, is Nebraska. And he's got 17 offers.
Yeah, if people don't know what IMG Academy is, it's a football factory. So he's not from Bradenton, Florida. I'd have to look at his profile to see where his actual home.
He's from New York.
Okay, he's from New York. Yeah, but yeah, IMG Academy is a place where 4- and 5-star players go to up their stock. It's an amazing place. I've been there. I've covered a game down there, and it was awesome. And if people don't know, Bradenton, Florida is the hometown of Nebraska legend Tommy Frazier. And it's a beautiful drive down there from, in South Florida. So great place and such a great campus. I mean, it's like a college campus, and it's not just football there. I mean, it's every sport. It's one of the top prep schools in the country. And yeah, I mean, you get a collection of guys from all across the country playing there. And they play a lot of high profile games against, some of the best programs in the nation. And then they fill in the rest of them with a lot of the top programs out of the Miami area. They play like Miami Northwestern and Miami Killian, and teams like that every year. So, which are also very high profile schools that have a ton of talent year in and year out.
Dependent Fanatic, I would love to produce a magazine every year. Maybe that's in the future at some point. All right, folks. 120 on the line. Appreciate you being here. Voice of College Football. Next Tuesday, we'll be back 6 Central, 7 Eastern. Bring a friend with you. How about that?
Unless I get a text saying that we have to do it later.
Unless you get a text that says we one time in 77 shows. That's not a bad track record.
I'm just busting your, you know what.
You are. And because of things going on in my life, your counterparts on the other team shows might be getting a similar text the next 2 nights. So,
well, we're gonna have to figure something out for not next week's show, but the week after that, because I will be in Indianapolis.
okay.
So yeah, well, we can definitely, it's not gonna be a problem. But
You tell me.
we will be live from Indy.
You
So
tell me when.
Yeah.
We will move the show or do a special show or whatever you want to do.
Do it right there from the RCA Dome. Not a problem.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And
with
Greg, we still
all the action going on.
We still need to get you on we got to get you on the Iowa show.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think that's the only one we need to get you on the Michigan show too, because Michigan and Nebraska play this year too.
Well, you asked me like 2 weeks ago, and then I said yes, and I never heard from you.
Is that what happened? Well,
I don't know.
I'm trying to schedule like 82 people. So
yeah. Well, also let me add too. I mean, if we could in 2 weeks, I'm not going to guarantee it to our viewers.
All right, you're going to tease us. All right.
You know what? If we do this from the venue,
yes,
I might be able to get a special guest to sit in with us by the name of Stephen A. Sipple. And Nebraska fans will know that name well. And I haven't asked him yet, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to say no. I'm a pretty hard guy to say no to, Mark.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that.
I would ask Scott Frost to sit in, but he's got to grab a plane right away. So he'll be gone by the time we're doing our show.
As soon as you said the name Scott Frost and I put it together with media days and trying to get a guest on, it brought me a flashback to my first sportscasting job in Mississippi. I was at SEC Media Days, the fall of '94, and Tommy Tuberville was nice enough to leave the SEC coaches banquet that was like 10 blocks away down the street, come back for the 6 o'clock news to do a live shot.
In Birmingham, in Hoover?
Live, yes. Didn't know me or anything.
Nice.
Very nice to me.
Love and then, Hoover. Love Hoover.
Later, it turned out to be a good thing. He would let us in his office for National Signing Day and on the practice field to interview him live and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, he was a good guy.
Well, I think I've told the story before that one of the most impressive guys that rubbed off on me was Lane Kiffin. When, I'm shooting O-line, D-line one-on-one at his camp at Tennessee, and he goes to, he wanted to say something to Ed Ogeron, his assistant, and he saw me standing right next to him shooting video, and instead of walking in front of me, he went around the backside of me, being courteous, not to ruin any of my shots. And I've always respected Lane Kiffin since that day.
Absolutely. That's a nice thing to do, because
coaches aren't going to do that. They're going to just do what they got to do.
USC fan Tim in the chat. Tim, if you're listening to me right now, Tim is planning an after show on our Discord. So Tim, why don't you do this? I just dropped you the link to this show. Why don't you pop on real quick? Tell people how they can join the after hours show. Tim, if you hear me, you can do that. Greg, if you don't feel like hanging out, you don't need to.
I want to know how to do that.
But it's pretty phenomenal. These guys, I got to credit them, between Tim and Exploring with Ben and Eric, the Oregon fan, and a number of them. I don't want to shortchange anybody. They've been really nice to start up these after-hour show.
That's cool.
Tim says, I can drop the link in Discord, but I was hoping to get a few of the people in the chat off the fence to join the Discord. Once they join, they will be hooked. Absolutely. So, Tim, join this show right this second. Just jump on here. You got the link right in the chat. And tell people about it. And you can sell it. There we go. Look at Tim. This guy's phenomenal. Hey, Tim, how's it going?
Oh, going good. How you doing?
Doing well. I appreciate you accepting the offer to better explain this to everybody.
Well, I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but
Is that a Raiders hat?
we've been doing it on Discord. What's that, Greg?
Is that a Raiders hat?
Hell no. No.
Oh,
Rams got a Raiders hat.
I'm waiting for the Rams to tank so we get our USC fans back in the Coliseum. Because again, LA crowds, that's the way they are. So as soon as these guys hit the skids, we'll be back to get it selling out again. So what we've been doing is we drop the link usually in Discord that you get to from joining Mark's Patreon. But for this, I was hoping to get a couple people who are on the fence.
Sure.
We're going to throw it out to you guys if you guys want to join to see what we're doing. Again, usually we have our mainstays that are there, but unfortunately, there's only 6. So first 6 in will be there. But we're going to watch. We usually have watch parties. Right now, there's nothing on the Big Ten Network. So it looks like we'll be watching the Duke's Mayo Bowl from last year. North Carolina, South Carolina.
Oh, that was a good ball game.
That's a good game. So we're gonna hit that up.
Mayo too. I'm really intrigued. It's supposed to be really twangy. It's got a twang to it, I hear.
Yeah, but where it's gonna be really fun is we plan on again when the season starts, because most of us be games on Saturdays, but on Sundays we're gonna do watch parties every Sunday. Those of us on Mark's Discord. So just a little preview. Plus, I'm bored. Wife's in Chicago, so I got nothing better to do.
So, Tim, couldn't you guys just pull up whatever game you wanted on YouTube?
We've been doing that. Actually, I have all my games on YouTube TV from last year. I mean, I have every game pretty much saved. Problem is when we've been using StreamYard, for whatever reason, it's lagging. Well, that's not lagging. It's just a little bit, tiny bit choppy. Yeah. So what we've been thinking about now is just watching games on Big 12 Network, or Big 10 Network, and ACC and SEC Network, and then just kind of chatting through it. We're working out the technical, but once we get that, it'll be great.
Did you say you have every game saved?
Yeah, that's what's great about YouTube TV.
Every game?
Yeah, you pick college football, and there's no limit. It saves all the games. It's awesome.
Wow.
That's what I need to do.
Oh, sorry, except the Pac-12 Network, because no one gets that crap, right? So anything that's on a normal network is gonna be there for us. But
why do you think schools are leaving?
All right, Tim. Appreciate you being here, man.
That's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tim. Take care. Yeah. So these guys have extended the show with some after hours.
Oh. And that sounds cool. I you know what?
Yeah, I've dropped in on a few times, and I will in the future. I don't know about tonight. I'm in the middle of all sorts of chaos here, but
I was, if they're doing something like on Sundays during the season, if I got time, I'll jump in there. Not a problem. And something else that you should all look forward to is that we'll be producing a show every Sunday night. Kind of recapping the weekend and stuff with Steve Sipple and my boss. So that'll be a big thing to keep your eye on, and I think we'll provide everybody with probably the best recap of the week in Nebraska football.
Very cool. All right, everyone. We'll see you on back here next Tuesday at 6 Central, 7 Eastern, Nebraska Live. Greg, thanks for making it happen.
Not a problem. Always love it.